Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we're live. It's May 28th. We are on the Ways and Means Committee. And we're going to walk through H 942. Bradley Showman.
Come on down.
Good morning, Bradley Showman, Office Legislative Counsel. And we just had this conversation. I don't believe the committee has seen the underlying bill, so I'm happy to walk through the underlying bill if the committee would like, or just give a preview of the underlying bill and talk about the amendment. But the primary reason the committee was referred to this bill was because of the Senate proposal amendment. Was the committee's preference here? Preview. So the underlying bill for 942 is a act related to miscellaneous agricultural subjects. It touches on three general areas. The first area is making water quality training for farmers optional. The second area relates to non-sewage waste management disposal on farms, so things like composting and things of that sort. And then the third area is related to retail pricing. So the Secretary of Agriculture enforces retail pricing in stores to make sure that the price you see on the sticker matches the price you're charged at checkouts. That is within the Agency of Agriculture's jurisdiction. This section would add requirements to make sure that the sticker price, the total selling price, is accurate, and also adds requirements to with respect to electronic shelf labels and not being able to update those electronic shelf labels dynamically during the day. You can only do it when the store is closed. And then unit pricing, which is requiring a shelf label to have an accurate price per standard weight. So you might be like price per, if you have a bag of apples, like maybe price per ounce or price per pound or price per something of the sort. And you determine that by incorporating national standards that are incorporated by reference in the underlying bill. And then there are penalties for not following those things as within the Agency of Agriculture's jurisdiction. So as the underlying bill, the amendment is, did I share already? I did. And the amendment is, does a few things. So first, it exempts convenience stores from the unit pricing piece. So on page 1, it gives a definition of convenience stores, small stores that sell motor fuel, tobacco products, made to order food, snacks, and beverages and things. And it exempts them from the unit pricing, but they'll still have to give the total selling price accurately on the sticker. And then the section that you'll be interested in is the equine farming. So this was, when it was proposed by Senate Agriculture, this was going to put equine farming in the current use value appraisal program. And instead of enabling equine farming to enroll in use value appraisal, the Senate Finance Committee proposed and the Senate accepted that the Commissioner of Taxes shall study this issue. So shall study, provide recommendations for equine farming, for including equine farming in the use value appraisal program. And so it's a study that will be due to the finance committees and the agriculture committees on December 15th, 2026. And it will be looking at equine farming for gain or profit, but otherwise it will be using definitions that are familiar to the use value appraisal program and to farming and agriculture.
Representative Holcomb.
Is there any other business, but not agricultural, that gets subsidized for current use this way?
Forestry.
But hotels don't get subsidized for use value or stands.
It would be enrollment in the use value appraisal program, and so that is a specialized tax program that is eligible for agricultural land and forestry land, and so accessory on farm businesses may be eligible for that enrollment in that program as well, but I might want to confer with Ezra about any further details about what is enrolled and able to be enrolled and not. But overarching, it's agricultural land and forestry.
Representative Mazel.
Yeah, thank you. This is going in a different direction from where we were a couple decades ago, when we said, at least in zoning, we said that ag buildings, it's not like, don't need a permit, don't need a zoning permit.
And so,
Yeah, keep going.
I don't want to interrupt, but I do want to emphasize that those are separate issues. So the Act 250 permit
Okay,
and the accessory on-farm business issue and enrollment in the use value appraisal program are separate issues.
but I would have meant even in local zoning, Deptford, for instance, I had a greenhouse, small, just attached thing to my garage, and the zoning administrator wanted to make sure that that wasn't needed a separate permit. I said, well, it's an agricultural building, which it's used for, and that's what our understanding was several decades ago. And so this is going in a different direction than that, intentionally or other. That I'm not going to argue with your position at all. You know, your job's your job. But I'm just noticing that this seems to be different in requesting or studying whether or not a permit is needed for the things that you list in the legislation, potential legislation is potentially a big kettle of fish, I think.
And so this would not assess whether a permit is needed for Act 250 or things of that sort. This would assess enrollment in the use value, in current use, and the use value appraisal program.
Understood.
It's a study.
And it's just a study. So they'll study, make recommendations, and then this body will determine what to do with those recommendations.
Just to continue a little bit, I don't object to this. I just suggest for the committee, it's potentially a fairly big bucket. So, and just FYI.
Representative Holcomb.
I just want to make sure I understand what we're talking about here. So if four Dartmouth students in their equine program decide to board their horses at my house, that would count as and I charge them for that, that would make me eligible for current use.
So we don't know. And so part of the reason that this is a study is it's going to study things like the size of the farm being enrolled, whether it's for profit, how much profit. So right now it says that means equine farming means the raising, feeding, or management of 4 or more equines owned or boarded by a farmer for gain or profit, including training, showing, and providing instruction and lessons in riding, training, and the management of equines. And there's two things that you would enroll in current use. One would be the land, the agricultural land, and then the buildings. And so to enroll your buildings, you have to be a farmer. And to be a farmer, you have to earn half of your income from the business of farming. And there's some technicalities here because you would have to earn half of your income from the business of equine farming, and that would require a change to the statute to enroll your buildings in the use value appraisal program. And as Ezra will explain to you, enrolling your building in the use value appraisal program is a fairly significant reduction in the tax value of those buildings. It can't be a home site, so it wouldn't be able to be a person's home. But if you have a training ring or something of the sort, and the definition of farmer is amended to enable a farmer who earns half of their income from equine farming, then they could potentially enroll their buildings. However, this is purely hypothetical because it will depend on what the Commissioner of Taxes recommends, and they're going to look at the issue more holistically to provide recommendations for the body to act on.
I would just caution the committee on two things. One is it's a study. Second, we do need to hear from Beth St. James on the bill before we lose her to a conference committee at 9:30. So just if.
So
You can hear from Ezra as well.
Yeah.
how about if we get Beth in the chair right now, shift gears, do that, and then have Ezra? So we can hear from Beth on that other bill.
And do you need me back for the rest of this?
Is there anything else on there that?
Not for affecting the fees. So there are other fees, other things in this bill, but that they don't have an impact on fees based on conference with JFO. House of Agriculture does want me, so I'm going to step up and I'll come back. So thank you.
Beth.
Morning, Beth
Morning,
St.
Bill.
James, Office of Legislative Counsel. So this morning we have H 931, which is the miscellaneous education bill. The Senate proposal of amendment, which did add several provisions, one of which is an appropriation. Do you want me to just state which sections you've already seen because they were passed from the House and then move on? Okay. Section 1 came from the House, the Senate made no changes. Section 2 came from the House, the Senate made no changes. Scroll, 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 avert your eyes. Background checks, Section 3, the Senate came from the House, the Senate made no changes to Section 3 or 4, which are all related to background checks. The Senate removed the language related to class size minimums and pausing the counting against non-compliance counting against you until a certain date, and that's now traveling in 955, the big ed transformation bill. And so starting on page 18, section 5, we come to the new Senate language. The Senate amended the Intercollegiate Sexual Harm Prevention Council essentially to revamp the membership and duties of the council. This language came at the request of the network and UVM. And you can see the per diem expenses were actually struck here. Any questions on section 5? Great.
Page with the DMs.
On page 22, line 13. And then section 6 is again added by the Senate. Kind of the same concept, revamping the membership and duties of so section 5 is post-secondary, so higher ed. Section 6 is pre-K through 12. Hazing, Harassment, and Bullying Advisory Council. Revamping the membership. This is very misleading, these strike throughs, because all of these folks remain members in this amendment. We just reformatted how they appear. So keeping all of the same members and then adding a whole host of new folks. Giving them more explicit duties than in our existing current law. Current law, it is essentially they just advise the secretary. But adding a provision for per diem and reimbursement.
Those are the same
What are the same?
DMs that you omitted earlier.
The per diems that were admitted earlier were for the Intercollegiate Sexual Harm Prevention Council. It's the same concept, but for a different body. I don't know membership wise. I haven't counted if it was the same number of folks. I believe the Hazing, Harassment, and Bullying Prevention Council now with this amendment has more people than exists in current law for the Intercollegiate Sexual Harm Prevention Council. Section 7 is a $21,000 appropriation from the general fund to AOE in fiscal year 27 for the per diem and compensation for the Hazing, Harassment, and Bullying Prevention Council. Any questions on section 6 and 7?
So is there a fiscal report we can?
There is.
expect?
Yes, and Ezra is right behind you.
Okay.
Section 8 on page 28 is a amendment to the energy performance contracting statute to the definition of cost saving measure to include additions as the types of things that would be eligible for energy performance contracting in your school construction chapter.
Yes, it's specific to school construction, Title 16.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the effective date would be July 1, 2026.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ezra, well, you this one first. Yes.
Ezra Holden. So it sounds like we will be starting with H 931, which Beth just walked through, and we will pivot back to 942. And I'm gonna have to switch tabs. There. All right, so 931, the last time I was in here, the fiscal impact that we discussed was the fingerprinting background check fees. And so that was about $1,600. What's new is the sections 6 and 7 that Beth just went over. And that would be the advisory council on harassment, hazing, and bullying prevention. So as you just heard, many of the members of this council would be eligible for per diems. And so we're estimating that that would add about $21,000 to per diem pool. And so section 7 is a $21,000 appropriation, and that's intended to cover those per diems for, I believe it's 13 of the members. And so the total impact would be about 22,600 of this bill. 1,600 is from the fingerprinting background check fees that we discussed the first time this bill came through. And so happy to go into more detail. Get it?
Representative Holcomb.
I know you have the privilege of following this through multiple committees, and we don't. We know that the agency is struggling financially right now, and this is a commitment, no longer an option, but a commitment to that 53,000, which is effectively half a position, perhaps. Was there any discussion of that in any committee that you were on?
I was not in the committee for any of that, maybe council for more discussions. It's in the agency's budget currently for fiscal year 27. They haven't included it yet.
Further questions?
Okay, for
Is straw poll
Yes.
on this? So is all those in favor of accepting the Senate's amendment to H 931, please raise your hands. Your favor? Okay, all those opposed? Okay, our straw poll is 911.
Thank you, Ezra. Now, 942.
That's still me.
Yes.
All right, so H 942, as you heard from Ledge Council, Bradley Showman, the reason I believe that this was referred to you all is section 4. Section 4 charges the Department of Taxes with studying and providing recommendations for including equine farming in current use. These recommendations would also, I believe, include a fiscal estimate for what that could cost, and also we have the recommendations of who that would be eligible. So this report will be brought to House Ag, House Ways and Means, and also the Senate Committees on Agriculture and on Finance. That would be due on December 15th of 2026. So as that is a report, we can't estimate the fiscal impact right now, which is why it is a report. The estimate that we weren't able to get at an estimate, I settled on a little bit of squishy range, but at the end of the day, the thought was, this is something that tax has studied before. I believe in 2013, PVR did a study on equine farms in Vermont and what it would cost to enroll them in current use. So the thought, I believe, is to repeat that study, but with new information now that it's been 13 years or so. So yeah, as of right now, there is no fiscal impact. If the recommendation came back and there was a path for enrolling equine farms in current use, as more properties and buildings enroll in current use, they would receive tax benefits, education tax benefits, as well as their municipal tax benefits. And so all else equal, you would need to increase your homestead and or non-homestead property tax rates to level off the education fund to make up for that decrease. On the municipal side, any reduction in municipal property taxes, those towns are held harmless by the general fund. That's part of current use. So any reduction in municipal property taxes would increase a draw on the general fund under that hold harmless to make the towns whole. Properties that do enroll in current use would be subject to a land use change tax if they withdraw. But again, as we don't know what the realm is, which is why there's a study, we can't estimate what the outflows or inflows would be at this time. But that would be the impact if properties were able to enroll.
Ezra, correct me if I'm wrong, but regardless of whether you're considered an equine farm, you can still enroll your land in current use as long as you have 25 acres or more. You just wouldn't qualify for the other farm exemptions for farm buildings and that sort of stuff. But I mean, I know folks that have equine facilities that have their land enrolled in current use. They just don't qualify for the other benefits. So you can still do it.
Right, so there are a variety of, and this is where it would be helpful, well, Ledge Council's not here, but there are a variety of different categories for agricultural land versus farm building. So yes, I think the principal change would be what's considered a farmer under current use. Farmer makes 50% or more of their income. This is studying adding equine farming towards that 50%. And then that would allow them to, I believe, bring in the farm buildings, which they wouldn't be able to originally. So some of these people may very well have their land, but not the farm building itself. So that's absolutely why tax is studying this, because it's hard for us to know not only what the potential scope is, but how much of that is new versus they already have the pasture land, but the building where the equines are stored, it's not.
Yep. Representative Brannigan.
I'm addressing my comments to the membership here, committee. Guys, we have to stop doing this. This is another scoop out of the ed fund that somebody else has to pay for. We have current use, we have the TIF districts, soon we're gonna have CHIP fund. Just taking money out of the ed fund, we can't do this. But I'm not running again for office, but I know a big issue during the campaign is gonna be taxes. People can't afford it anymore. Believe me, I could go on, and I may go on the floor about this. This is just such an easy pot of money to take and use for other things because it's diverted from the ed fund. Well, it's not the ed fund, it's diverted from the ed fund. But I don't know. I think you get my picture.
We need to vote. What if Representative Odie?
Well, I mean, the reason I like this study is I like to talk about clean use. And when is the study coming back to us?
December
Oh,
15th,
that-
2026.
That opens the door to discussing clean use. I have concerns. I want to know the history, be reminded of it. I think before Act 60, do you know whether it's true before Act 60?
Yes, there was.
The general fund paid for current use. I think.
Yes, that's right. General fund paid for it.
So I definitely, I want to talk about current use, and this opens the door to talking about
Okay,
it.
so you might want that study first.
All I know is every time we talk about current use, we expand it. And when I look at the distorting effects in our area, I get worried because we're talking, when I look at, I'm right to again.
And I guess I can't see anything wrong with studying it. That will only cost us the work of our staff, which they're gonna be here anyway. But
It's tax. It is money.
it is to the point where it's costing us money. if we really do expand the program, that's where I come in.
Yeah.
Because I think this is really wrong.
Okay, if the clerk,
Well, we haven't had a motion. The other, can I just also say, so I guess the question is, we haven't been deep in this bill. If we vote no to get it stops in our committee, the other things that are in the bill that other people cared about.
I'm
what
gonna
would
vote
we-
yes, because it's just a study.
Because it's just a study.
And I want the information, as Carol does, I think.
I want information about other things. What's in here besides Kevin Easton?
There was the stuff about UPC codes and like other, like, it's literally a miscellaneous, ag bill that has to, so the other stuff has to do with convenience stores, pricing. And that's right.
Want a motion to approve the Senate proposal of amendment?
yes,
So moved.
favorable,
I'll take one for you.
John?
favorable,
Favorable.
Are you ready for me to call the roll?
please.
All right. Representative Brannigan.
Yes, and I'd like to explain my vote.
I would vote the same as Representative Burkhart, but I think I've already explained my thinking. Representative Higley,
Yes.
Representative Holcomb,
I don't know, and I'd like to explain my vote.
Representative Kimball is not here. Representative Maslin,
Yes, and I'd like to talk about CTARC at a break.
Representative Odie,
Yes.
Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Blazazak, Representative Canfield,
Yes,
and Representative Kornheiser is not here. So we voted the Senate's proposal of amendment favorable, 8-1-2.
Words making.
We don't break the
Thank you.
we're ready to head to the floor.
Yeah, okay.
So this a month or so before, but there's things up in the transportation.